when has nature ever stopped you in your tracks? When has nature ever caused your jaw to drop? About 2-3 months ago, I was getting my early morning run in, and I'm going down Chambers. There's a little bit of a valley before you have this climb. By the way, runners hate climbs. And I'm just getting ready to go up this climb. It's totally dark out. I'm just watching my next step, man. When I say I run, it's a fast walk. It's not a sprint by any means. Don't think Forrest Gump. No. So I'm getting ready. All of a sudden, my eye looks up, and nature took my breath away. Comet, falling star, meteorite, I have no idea. But I wasn't looking up. But because there was a flash of light, I looked up. I stopped. Which is a big thing for me when I'm running, not because I'm tired, but because I love my numbers and I want my numbers to look good at the end of my run. And so I just keep going, thinking, what was that, man? How much are meteorites worth? Maybe I ought to go look where that is. Because I was running north, and it was north and northwest, so it probably landed right about where the GM plant used to be. So I think. And then I'm jogging through the cemetery, and I see one of the officers there, because frequently there's an officer sitting there. This officer was aimed at Park Avenue. Hint, hint, be careful driving on Park Avenue in the morning. Don't go too fast. And he was aimed there, and so I went up there and waved. I didn't go knock on his glass and startle the officer. No. I said, did you see that? He goes, see what? That's not what he was looking. He probably doing some paperwork. It just took my breath away. So I'm sitting here going, man, is it really right over GM? Then I start doing the math in my head, and I'm running going, it's either right over the GM plant or landed in Toledo. I'm not sure. Because then I started grasping a little bit bigger how vast, how big did it have to be as far up as it was for it to stop me in my tracks? But it did. It stopped me in my tracks. And I remembered what the psalmist wrote. The Psalms is a book in the scriptures in the Old Testament that is designed to be metaphorical. It's poetry, it's songs. And it said, when I consider the heavens, and I did I feel small when I saw that? Yes. Did I also feel like something special about mankind because I don't know that a bird noticed it? I don't know that the trees all of a sudden stopped being trees for a few moments when they saw it, but I stopped what I was doing. When I consider the heavens, it's good to think, to dwell, to consider the heavens, the creation. The first thing the Creator told us to do was not the Ten Commandments. The first thing He told us to do was an assignment to humans. Manage and care for the universe. Manage and care for creation. We're supposed to subdue it and take care of it. Creation care eventually needs to become creation aware. So in case you haven't heard, there's an eclipse tomorrow. Is this news to anybody? If so, you've been living under a rock. Apparently, it's at 1:57 tomorrow, and the totality happens a little bit after 3. You don't have a place to watch it because you live in a closed-in place. The church's office is closed. The daycare is closed. Come hang out on the playground if you want. If the cops bother you, you're on your own. I'm understanding they're going to bother people parking on 30 more than that. But the Earth's only moon, because not every planet can say that, will be precisely the right distance to appear the same size as the sun. That's wild. We'll begin to see the moon cover the sun depending on how sunny Mansfield is. But even if it's not sunny, the sun is going to be blotted out from our sight. I'm told, I did my own research, I'm told the temperatures can drop up to 28 degrees and most animals will go silent. When nature is unusual, all creation usually notices. Let me say that again, because it's actually original and I'm amazed I came up with it. When nature is unusual, all creation usually notices. And we get this even early as a kid when we're, how many of you had babies that were, or when you were a kid, you were a little bit scared of the dark? Okay. How many of you had babies or kids, or maybe you were scared of the light? We're not. That's interesting, isn't it? We're not. In the past, it was considered a bad omen for there to be an eclipse. Well, of course, if you're an ancient person, you don't understand eclipse and you don't understand astronomy, not astrology, astronomy. If you don't understand astronomy, the sun's out, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Of course, it'd freak you out. But when you think about it, we take that metaphorical symbolism of light being good and dark being bad pretty far. We even take it into our songs. Have you ever noticed that? I can see clearly now the rain has come. What can you do with obstacles? I can see all obstacles in my way. What kind of day is it going to be? It's going to be a... Woo! How about this one? I see a bad moon rising. What's on the way? Trouble. Trouble is on the way, yeah. Should I go out tonight? No, don't go out tonight. Why? It's bound to take your life. Children of the 60s know exactly what I'm talking about there. Creedence Clearwater Revival. Didn't Jesus say, I am the light of the world? No, Dave, he didn't. He said, I am the light of the world. Didn't mean to trick you. Is he possibly the night light of the world for those scared of the dark? There is a moral imagery there. Light is good, darkness is bad. That makes sense, but that meaning stops at imagery because it's not literal because God created both. He let there be darkness. He could have said there's no darkness at all. He let there be some darkness. We see in Genesis chapter 1, verse 16, God made two great lights. The great light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. Why make the stars if there's never going to be any darkness? Because you won't be able to see them. But doesn't it do something? Don't we realize there's something different about us as humans when we sit and we stare at the stars and we realize, did you ever catch your dog staring at the stars? How about your cat? By the way, why do you have, no, it's not good, why do you have a cat? But if the universe speaks, what's it say? If the universe speaks, are we listening? And I'm not asking if you've been to Area 51 and you've got something dialed in on Yeti so you can go ahead and find it to come on in. But if the universe is saying something, should we be listening? So the short answer to the question, does the universe speak, is yes. Let's take a look at what it says. But before we do, let's remember, the scripture is not always literal. Sometimes it's designed to be taken metaphorically, symbolically. But just because something is a metaphor or symbolic doesn't mean it's not real. It's not literally real. Jesus told parables that were not real, but the truth was real. We're going to look at a passage that is not literal, but it's got literal truth in it. Psalm 19. Look at the spots in this passage that talk about communication. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day, they pour forth speech. Night after night, both are good apparently, they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. If you were an ancient sailor or navigator, aren't you thankful for the night sky? And you're not stranded in the middle of some ocean for eternity because you're never going to find your way out otherwise. Yeah. So what can we see, hear, or know? It displays knowledge. We live in the internet age. We have all the knowledge we want. But sometimes there's some knowledge we can get just by going back to being 7 years old, laying down on the grass and staring up at the clouds and watching them roll by. You have that chance tomorrow, pretty much. Does it say there's no speech or language where the voice is not heard? New Testament version would put it this way. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, the things you cannot see, his invisible qualities, what kind of invisible qualities? His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen. What? They've been clearly seen? They were invisible, but now they're clearly seen. How are they clearly seen? Actually, they're understood from what has been made. And the number of scientists that you can find that came to faith because they studied nature and the universe. The fancy word is teleological. Basically, it means the universe is too fine-tuned to be accidental. But creation is such that no one's without excuse. to say there's no God. So let's start there with the fine-tuning of the universe. If you're following along with your notes this morning, a couple things about God and the universe. God created the universe, and the universe is indescribable. It's a finely tuned cosmos, a complex pattern of physical and mathematical rules. I'm not going to pretend to be a scientist or spout something. You can Google check me on anything you want. I'm just trying to grasp and make sure that we understand that our faith doesn't have to battle science and that nature itself declares the glory of God. And if someone is declaring the glory of God and showing the glory of God, should we pay attention? How much more so, even if it's something he created? You realize we can predict eclipses years in advance. That's why they knew this was coming. That's why space nerds and eclipse nerds already had their hotel room booked a year ago, right? Because they knew it was coming. Now, if you know what's coming, because it's so fine-tuned, you can actually backtrack a long way in history and find out what spots on the planet would have had a total eclipse at certain spots in history within pretty much accurate. Because the spinning of the earth hasn't changed much over the past couple thousand years, and neither has the path of the sun or the moon. The sun and the moon had the exact right composition, distance, and speed. And we're learning now, because we're paying attention to it, there's 2 to 5 solar eclipses every year on the planet, pretty much, depending where you live. Have you realized that it's probably not an accident God put us on a place where we can see total solar eclipses? 3 spheres in perfect relationship. And at least from a video I saw on the Associated Press website with someone that looked to be intelligent because she was small, old, wore glasses, and looked like the little lady from Incredibles, right? The little lady from Incredibles. So I'm pretty sure this is accurate. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun. And whatever the distance is, it's 400 times farther away. And that the total solar eclipse, we're the only planet in our system, galaxy, whatever, that actually has a total solar eclipse. Even though other planets have multiple moons, we're the only ones that ever get to be a spot where we get to see a total. Well, maybe there's lots of aliens out there. Scripture actually doesn't give any indication on that, neither here nor there. But at least for our spot, as far as we're aware, no one else gets to see a total solar eclipse. Just humans. Physically, the sun and the moon rule the movement of the earth that God created. The earth would fly off into space if it wasn't for the gravity of the sun. And the moon's gravity helps govern tides and bring up nutrients from the ocean floor. It's as if the universe or nature were trying to speak to us, declaring the glory of God. Nature shows God's glory. God does not bow to nature's glory. God created nature. Nature reflects the glory of the Creator. Let's not lose the Creator in the midst of his creation. But mankind is supposed to reflect God's glory. Mankind is supposed to be able to, quote unquote, subdue in some way nature. And we try to tame nature. We build skyscrapers to the sky. We build large things like the Hoover Dam, and we try and tame nature. We build bridges. We travel to the moon. We dream of traveling to Mars and to tame nature. And then when nature hiccups at us, we get timid. And then we start to bow to nature as if nature becomes our God. Nature is a poor substitute for God. Nature can show us that our Creator is powerful. Nature cannot show us that our Creator is loving. Nature can show us that our Creator is creative. Nature cannot show us that our Creator is gracious and merciful. If anything, nature is the opposite. When a man bows to nature's glory, it's idolatry. Don't miss the Creator in the midst of his creation. Worship the Creator in the midst of his creation. I challenged you earlier. You have an opportunity this afternoon to say, I went to church, or an opportunity to say, I worshiped God. At the end of the message, we're going to have a song, and you're going to have the opportunity to worship, or you're going to have the opportunity to stand there and go, good job, Caleb. Good song. Good song. I approve. I approve. You can do that. You can put your hands in your pockets after the message. You go, I like that song. If you're old enough to remember American Bandstand, it's got a good beat. It's easy to sway to, right? Because you're too old to dance right now, right? Or you can sit there and go, man, he looks a lot like Jesus. Caleb sure looks a lot like Jesus. Or you can close your stinking eyes and worship the Creator. Whose choice? Your choice. My choice. But they didn't play the song that well. Your choice whether you're going to worship or not. But they played it so amazing. There's still people that won't worship. Make the choice. Worship the Creator in the midst of His creation. Second thing, and you notice, God values humanity, whom the universe dismisses. The universe totally dismisses humanity. God is big, right? Huge. Whatever term you want to use. I did not go to a thesaurus to get bigger words. Yet I am loved by Him. I am loved by Him. I'm going to go to Psalm chapter 8. This was the original passage I had in my head and my heart as soon as I heard there was going to be an eclipse. I said, hold on, that's going to be here? Well, that's easy what to preach that day. It's on a Monday? Definitely preaching to that day. Psalm verse 8. When I consider your heavens, apparently it's a good thing to do that. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is man? That you're mindful of him. Mindful as in being aware of, not that he minds us. And what is the Son of Man, my kid, that you care for him? You made him a little lower than angels. And you crowned us with glory and honor. You may not realize it, but we live in an economy that's driven by attention. Not tension like tension on a guitar string, but attention like, are you paying attention to the commercial? If you can create a product that gets people's attention, no matter what it is, you can sell advertising space on it. And if people will pay attention to it, you've got yourself a product. It's an attention economy. You choose what to pay attention to. And people are trying for your attention. What did we do that deserves God's attention? What on earth did we possibly do that says, wow, I'm going to quit binging Netflix right now and watch them. They're awesome. No. What is, man, that you're aware of us and you care? Especially when I consider universe and galaxies and planets. And then you crowned us with glory and honor, and we actually have the ability to tame nature. I mean, some of you are hunters, man. I've never seen you once go out, not without a gun or a bow and arrow, but just out there with your bare hands and say, come on, let's go, and take on a deer. Right? Why? This, and opposable thumbs, and the ability to pass down knowledge. I mean, our deer locally still can't figure out, don't cross 30. Don't cross 30. Right? So whether it's an eclipse or you're just staring at the stars on a clear night, we feel overwhelmed, but not insignificant. We feel small, but like a miracle. I am small, and I'm crowned with glory and honor. However, the universe's attitude towards humanity is total indifference. Does the universe cry when thousands of people die in a tsunami, a tornado, a hurricane, or an earthquake? If you climb to the top of Mount Everest, what's the universe's response? The same as if you die in an avalanche on the way down. Indifference is the best way to put it. Indifference. Don't know, don't care, and the universe doesn't. Yet God smiles when you enjoy what he made. So the whole question, what is man? Well, what is man? You are God's desire. You are his creation. You are one of his hopes. You are a joy of his. When you come back to him, it makes him happier than 99 others that already were following him. You are not a subject and a slave to him, but he wants to call you friend. You are the object of his deepest affection. When you look in the mirror, you're not even the object of your own deepest affection on some days. You are the object of his deepest affection. Nothing else in all creation will separate you from his love. He will do away with this current heaven and current earth and give us a new heaven and a new earth out of his love for us. You are precious and honored. The Apostle Paul put it this way, I'm convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor demons, nor the present or the future. Do you see him searching for words? How do I express this amazing thing that nothing's going to separate us from God's love? How much bigger can I go? Not powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will separate us. Don't lose the Creator in the midst of His creation. Choose to worship the Creator in the midst of His creation. Choose that. And that worship opportunity is coming in a few moments. Next, God is moral and personal. The universe is neither. The universe is neither. The personhood of God is clear in Scriptures. It's made even more clear by the appearance of Jesus Christ in the incarnation that we call Christmas. A God to be good, if our God is good, and our God is good, He has to be moral, He has to have a sense of justice, and not just loving. Oh, He's loving. That doesn't mean He's not just. And because He is just, that means there are words in His universe such as ought, should not. Well, that takes away a little bit of the fun, right? If you've got all the power in the world. Because you can do whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. But if there's a God, oh, He's loving, but there's still ought, should, and should not. But if the universe speaks, does it have a personality? I mean, is the universe, does it have personhood? Is it moral and personal? Some people would say that it is in our culture. The universe told me. The universe made it happen. The universe speaks to me. Now, as humans, in a really affluent culture that we have, that's pretty desirable, honestly. Here's this powerful life force that's non-judgy, that helps me. Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, it's kind of like AI, but bigger. Non-judgy, there's no accountability, there's no standards, there's no ought to, should, or should not at all. Who wouldn't want that? And it seems to work really well for about 1% of the planet. Those who are infected with what could be called affluenza. They are so affluent in resources, and they have more creature comforts than 99% of all humanity that's ever lived. And that pretty much includes everybody in this room. There's probably 5% of you that maybe that doesn't include you because right now finances and resources are really low. But if you drove a vehicle here today and you didn't walk, if you get to choose what you ate yesterday and you'll choose today and you have to choose what to put on, yeah. The idea of the universe being personal and being kind to me works. Came across one of those on Facebook and it just got me, I don't know, got my theological nerd going. The universe knew that He wasn't loved, and so they brought us together, and the universe knew that I needed to be loved in this way, and the universe knew I needed this relationship. This whole idea is pagan and pantheistic. I want to know why I don't see things like this. The universe knew we needed only one goat for our family to survive, and a picture of them with their goat thanking the universe. I want to see this. The universe knew that not having access to health care would allow only my strongest children to make it to adulthood. I want to see that picture. The universe knew that being oppressed as a woman would limit my educational opportunities and put me exactly where it wants me. I don't see that one. The universe knew that living in this horrible geographic location where nature is unkind 300 days a year would mold me into who it wants me to be. The universe's friendliness and bent towards graciousness towards us humans seems to be for humans who have a lot. This is arrogance. It is pantheism, it is paganistic, it is narcissistic, it is idolatry. It's exactly what Satan wants for us. Yeah. The universe is the perfect God if I am the center of my universe. Something good happens, oh, the universe was so kind to me. Something bad happens, see, that's why there's no God. Something bad happened to me, that's why there's no God. It's amazing how God gets all the blame, but the universe gets all the credit when we don't want to be accountable. And how many of you love being accountable? None of us, right? Yeah, I don't want to be accountable. I want to do what I want, when I want, how I want, without any consequences. And that turns me into a really bad human. and a lonely person. Yeah. So in summary, creation is magnificent. It's magnificent. He crowned humans far above the rest of creation, and we can bend and tame creation in limited ways. But when we look at the physical creation, it's magnificent. Think of the majesty, the places that maybe you've had a chance to visit, or if it's just what you've caught on TV and YouTube, the animal kingdom, whether you can watch any channel in the world now, or you remember Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins, and my friend Jim over here is going to circumcise a water buffalo while I watch from a safe distance, that kind of thing, right? The animal kingdom, the oceans. We know more about space than we know about the depth of our own ocean. The mountains, the forests, the deserts, which can be beautiful. The ice kingdoms that are in our nation, on our globe. And no, Star Wars geeks, I'm not talking about the island of Thoth. Is it Thoth? I think it's Thoth. Creation is magnificent. Creation is broken. Our bodies, our relationships, our psyche, our mental health, our national and global organizations, they're broken. Physical creation is broken. Tsunamis, tornadoes, floods, earthquake, excessive heat, excessive cold, human damage, and pollution. But Christianity stands different from every other faith and worldview because Christianity does not discard the physical world as bad and put it on the trash heap of history. Christianity says that creation is redeemable. As humans, yeah, we get that if we're following Jesus, redeemable in spite of what we may have done. We groan because of our sin, yet God invaded creation through Jesus Christ to save us. But the universe itself groans. Scripture tells us all creation groans and waits for redemption, to be redeemed. And when we get a taste of His glory as humans, when we get a taste of what it feels like to be fully alive and to have a few moments where we don't feel dragged down by sin, dragged down by our broken nature, dragged down by others around us, and we feel like we are flying in life, not just because our circumstances are good, but we sense such a direct connection. There's something in us that says, this is how life is supposed to be. This is probably how Adam felt before the fall of sin, and we come alive in such magnificent ways. But it doesn't last, and we realize, why do I feel like I want that? Where did that even come from that I think that's what it ought to be? Because way back in the beginning it was. And there's still something in our hearts that want it, and way down the future it's going to be again. What will it be like and feel like and smell like and taste like to be magnificent, unbroken, and redeemed again as a physical human? Pause. Creation will do the same. Physical creation will do the same. What's the most beautiful place you've ever seen or visited? It's tainted by sin still. It longs for the pre-fall, the pre-Adam and Eve choice to breathe again like creation did, which is why some of the scriptures even talk about the trees singing. Are they physically going to sing? I don't know if that's literal or not, but it wouldn't surprise me. Not just a lion laying down with a lamb and a nice little children's photo to creep them out, right? But literally, creation so fully alive that our jaw drops, not just when we see one meteorite, but every time we turn. Two scriptures to end before we worship. You've already heard me say them. Let them sink in. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands. Stand with me.